Media transmissions from Earth have polluted the Milky Way galaxy with completely unwatchable content. Fearing these signals will spread beyond our galaxy, Captain S and the 01 Legion have headed to Earth to destroy the source of this woke mind virus.
Have you guys seen the Sora AI thing? I might be losing my mind if this becomes popular tech.
Guys, it's 2024. There's a realistic possibility that the Lions win a Super Bowl before Blade comes out.
John Wick got his butt handed to him by a 95-pound Latina. How about that? Thanks, Hollywood. Totally didn't break my immersion.
Not like 5 minutes before we went live, I went on YouTube because I was like, okay, show me what she did in this movie because I didn't see it. I'm not going to go see a Hunger Games movie. I really don't care about her or that franchise or whatever. It's the most basic action stuff ever. We'll probably get into it a little bit later, but it's like, oh, I'm standing here. Now I'm running. And then I think of Tom Cruise leaping off of a freaking mountain like 700 times, breaking motorcycles each time. And then I think of Keanu. Yeah, exactly. Like that. Keanu throwing himself downstairs, which, like, I don't know if you guys have ever fallen downstairs. Oh, I'm sure like the three of us have. I feel like you two are rough and tumble like me.
I was going to say, like, there was that one time, but,
that's
there
what I'm
was
saying.
booze involved.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I was trying to say it without saying it, but I was giving the benefit of the doubt to our audience. Because, yeah, if you've fallen downstairs, that hurts. Like, it hurts so bad no matter where you land. But with that, yes, folks, it is Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of the 01 stream here at Bounding Into Comics. I am your host, Editor-in-Chief Spencer Bakuli. I am joined by two of the best guys I know. One would be Jacob of Society Reviews, and the other is, and I don't even know if I'm pointing the right way. Are you down here? You're down here. Yeah. Oh, you're over here. No, I was right. Yeah. You're down here. I'm joined by Cider Hype, the man with the plan. What's going on, guys? How are y'all doing?
Okay, yeah, we're doing great. Not that well coordinated, but we're doing great.
Look, it's me. The fact that I was able to at least like move properly is a big win in all of our books.
Yeah.
It'd been funny if I had just like started moving like as you were trying to like point to me.
I genuinely thought Cider was gonna start swapping the windows around and just leave me for a tizzy.
Disappointed!
Look at that, less than 3 minutes into the show, and we've already got our first disappointed. And guess what, folks? You're going to get a lot more of that tonight. We have a lot to talk about. We have, as Jacob brought up, yes, YouTube me, if you're watching, there is a fly in my room. It is trying to kill me. Have fun with that one. It's been a while, but it's that season in Arizona. But yes, we have so much to talk about tonight. We have Rachel Zegler winning Action Movie Star of the Year. We have Madam Web being a total dumpster fire. We have Blade. We have a potential buyout for WB Discovery. And we've got so much more. So I'm glad everybody is with us tonight. And yeah, I guess one of the first things I wanted to hit, because I sort of brought this up at the beginning of the stream, because we were talking about this backstage, but have you guys in the chat seen the Sora AI, or like it's from ChatGPT? Who makes it, Cider?
OpenAI.
OpenAI. So yeah, in case you guys haven't seen it, there is this new technology from OpenAI where instead of just still image photos, like AI generated photos, they're now capable of making video, and the video looks really, 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 really good for what it is. If you catch a clip, maybe Cider's bringing some up, or we'll look at some later. But if you look at a clip of it, yes, there are errors, but at the same time, you know, you downscale that to 480 pixels, you throw that up on YouTube, you put hashtag, I don't know, insert insult towards political leader of choice here, you're going to have 400 billion views. Like, it's pretty terrifying. And yeah, like this is probably going to have a big effect on Hollywood, right? Jacob, you were saying that.
Well, yeah, it's starting to get to a point where it's only been like a year, and I think AI is getting like scary accurate to the point. Two things are going to happen here, and neither one is going to spell good for Hollywood. Is that people are going to unironically start making their own movies using AI, and it's going to be far more entertaining than anything that Hollywood's doing, especially with the litany of just unqualified writers and directors that we're seeing in the industry right now. We'll talk about that later on here. But then the actual capabilities of AI is getting so much good that people, like, you can literally make like AI videos of like celebrities now, and it looks exactly like realistic. So this was an AI video created a year ago versus the AI capabilities that they have now. And you see that the one that it looks like now is getting like very, very scary to, like, it almost looks like it's actually Will Smith doing this now.
That's what I mean. Like, you downscale that, right? You throw it into like TikTok, and it's, you know, you're looking on your screen, you're not noticing details. You can easily believe any of this. Like, this is really, well, that was a little weird.
Oh no, Will Smith, stop eating that man's hair.
What happened there at the end? He started like Kirbying it, like.
Yeah.
But as we're seeing with like the Sora AI, we're seeing like a lot of these other things that are happening now. It's like you can literally just put in like a prompt, and it'll create like full-fledged videos now. So someone's gonna get to the point where they're gonna start piecing these things together, and it's like, hey, you know what? We don't even need actors anymore. We just need their likeness.
What happened there?
That was really helpful.
Twitter, yeah. No, that's true. I mean,
here's one that's totally generated right here. Okay.
Yeah, all of this is completely AI. By the way, I noticed that 33 too. Just throwing that out there.
What?
The math.
But yeah, there it is.
And yeah, so like Jacob is saying, and like Kate brings up here, Kate, whoops, I took it away. Kate says, quote, I almost want to learn how to use it so we can start making movies and shows that are actually good and put Hollywood out of business. Cider, what you got for us?
I'm telling you, that is definitely what needs to happen. Like, you've heard of the Epic Verse over on the Iron Age.
Now, yeah, of course.
The Epic Verse guys have put out a horror movie, right? Well, now imagine if you start merging this technology. Like, we saw Will Smith just eating spaghetti, and all of a sudden he started Kirbying it into his mouth and eating this man's hair, right? So you just you feed it a bunch of like images of your work, of your actor, your indie actor doing things. Then you just let the AI go to town doing this crazy stuff. Right. So, and again, you play that up in the horror that like the simulation you're living in is broken. I'm not kidding you. This is a movie you can make in probably like 2 days in your own house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I imagine, like I said, the way that it's developing like so fast now, imagine somebody thinking, you know what, I want to see Scarlett Johansson and Ana de Armas play in a TGIF comedy series from the 1990s, and using AI, you can literally create an entire episode in like less than a week and make it a thing.
And I mean, I go to the AI and you type in, I want the Madam Web movie where the Spider Girls wear their costumes the whole movie.
I can't get over it. Like, I watched I know we went over Madam Web last week with Jacob after he just got out of the theater, but I watched it the next day, and I feel like it's a fever dream. I've talked about this on a couple streams now, and with a couple of you guys out there, especially like Jacob. it is such a bizarre movie that I can't really tell. I can't even say why it's bad yet, because it's just, it's a horror. Like I look at it and I'm just like, the total screen time of the girls in their costume, 50 seconds total. And that's including the vision that Ezekiel has and an ending like montage where they try to hype you up for an incoming sequel. That is never going to happen.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you have the video of like, the people walking in the city with like the snow, but like I said, it's only been a year, and this is how like so much better than it's already like progressing here. So it's like, imagine being, like I said, imagine a couple of years from now, imagine 5 years from now, what they're going to be able to do with it.
Minecraft. This is fake Minecraft you're looking at. This is
and
not
that does it really
Minecraft.
well, especially because it doesn't need all the details from like
wow,
that's crazy.
You can fake a drone. You can fake a drone. This is really freaky, right?
Whoa!
Yep. Now it's a butterfly.
And now we're going underwater.
Now we're underwater.
It's underwater now. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, don't watch this high.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Like, so many people are going to lose their minds.
There's just an old man sitting on a train, and looks like old man Nick Rekieta. Jeez.
Oh, wow. I was going to say Steven Spielberg, but yeah, and you said Nick, and I definitely see it now. It's the schnoz.
Wow, that's weird. Yeah, it's the schnoz. It's Bling Zoo. Look at that. You Bling Zoo.
This is going to be in like every rap video for the next like 6 months. I know it.
Bling
like,
Zoo.
Bling Zoo.
Wow, look at that. It's a turtle. Wow, he's turning into diamonds as he's eating them.
Here's what I think is here's what I think is going to happen here, right? Is that someone's going to end up making a movie that's purely AI, and it's going to come out, and a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, well, this is actually good. Yeah, we don't need Hollywood anymore." Hollywood's going to freak out, and then what's going to happen is that these AI services are going to be like pay services only. Like it's not going to be available to like the general public anymore. They will cableize the crap out of this. The second they realize that, oh yeah, we've given the people the power to do stuff that's better than us, we can't have that anymore because we're the center of influence. So the whole thing is going to backfire. Look, I can't just say just on Hollywood, because I think it's going to backfire on society in general. But Hollywood is definitely going to be one of the things that is definitely going to feel the brunt of this. Because, like I said, the alternative is that we're getting movies and television shows that need 2 years worth of reshoots, written by 6 writers, 2 directors, and 4 producers, and then it comes out and it's garbage, and people are absolutely just had enough with it.
I love the writer's fact, because I know you bring it up all the time. I'm sure everybody here has heard you bring it up before, but like every time you mention that a movie has more than 3 writers or something, it makes me laugh so hard, because that's all of them nowadays. And like you pointed out, like there are some situations where, there was a writer and then they got replaced by like a duo. So then there's 3 writers credited. It's like, that's not what we're talking about.
And then they shot the whole movie. And then it's like, oh no, this movie sucks. And they have to hire like 2 more writers just to come in and fix the script. And it's like, there's like 8 people who's worked on this film and it's still terrible.
According to Variety, or the Hollywood Reporter, there was a big Marvel piece that came out. We'll probably talk about it a little bit. I'm working on some articles about it, but they were saying that, what was it? Oh gosh, I totally forget what the point was of it now. I think I still have it up. Let me look.
Well, Cider had a point real quick.
Cider, hit it.
So, like, I want to make movies, right? But I'm up in Maine, and they really restrict that with a lot of licensing. That's why everything that you were told set in Maine is in Rhode Island. Okay?
Yeah.
Even Murder, She Wrote is in Rhode Island. They couldn't afford the licensing for Murder, She Wrote, okay? So, like, I can make movies now. Like, so let me piece this together for you, okay? There is an AI that does motion tracking now. You don't need a ping pong ball suit or a goofy green screen even. You just need a camera with a depth finder in it. That's it. That's all. The 2 lenses.
Which are like, we've had that refined for a while, and it's only getting more refined with the Kinect. Like that was
this is a free AI though. This is
but that's what I'm saying. Is like we've had this for so long that the tracking technology is so good now that we don't even need like that, like a device. You can just have that depth camera.
You just do this movement right now. They have preloaded 3D assets that are rigged to fit onto a motion cap skeleton. So that's what this AI does, is you make a movement and it records that movement and creates a skeleton for it. Now, what you can do with this is you can export that skeleton. So if you do a Running Man pose and you want to put yourself into Tron, This AI will separate you out of the background and place you into Tron. You can do that. But what the more intriguing thing it'll do is that it'll create the skeleton. Then you can create your own 3D character and slap that on top of it. So this is what so in that Polar Express movie, okay?
Yeah.
That's how they did that. That's how the animation in that movie is done. That's how Mass Effect was done, the really freaky one.
Yeah.
So again, like you sit down with this AI in an afternoon, you get a bunch of your wide open clips you need of space or Tron or whatever you want to do. The really like big vistas that Rian Johnson was all about with The Last Jedi, right? Then you sit down and you do the 3D recording stuff to have you put into those vistas running across the desert. Then you have the AI come in and replace the background of you on a green screen on that desert, interacting in that environment. And guess what? You now have a chase scene that you can throw anything into the background of. You yourself can create other henchmen using this AI technology that motion tracks. So you don't need a stunt team. I'm telling you, in a week, you can put together Transformers Rise of the Beast. I promise you.
Well, you can do that in like a day if you just take a bunch of paper and like scrunch them in front of the camera and go like that.
And then light it on fire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But no, like I totally, I didn't realize the capability side until you gave that rundown, but like that's insane. You really can.
There's music generators too, Spencer. So you can get an orchestra, the big superhero orchestra thing done just in seconds to go into behind this, where you're standing down like all of the Cybermen space army, you know, and you're the doctor.
I have tried using Chat GPT, like, hey, compose me like not a song, but like a riff or a little ditty to play or whatever. And be careful, guys, if you go out and use like auto-generated music like that, because in my use of it, it'll give you something really pretty, but then it's AI, so it'll be like, oh, maybe this will work because it worked in one song. So you'll be like, dun dun dun, do do do, and it's like, oh, okay, you got to double check your work before you put it out there. But yeah, it's getting scary.
Well, look, you got Bayona Rat in the chat that says you need to do the AI voice and deepfakes. Well, here, let me give you this one.
I want you to remember to vote. Right, Jack? You're out there and you're fat. Stop fat. Further. So.
It was only picking up every third word, but we got it was Joe Biden. So yeah,
it was also just more
good.
Yeah, it was more comprehensible than Joe Biden. Let's be real.
No, so there you go. It was actually accurate, Joe Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
Where do you want a kawaii anime girl?
Yes, finally, we have our own VTuber, our CTuber.
But yeah, that's all right here on an app that I paid $25 for 6 years ago. And it continues to update because I bought into the pro thing in the beginning. It was an original investor.
Oh, you did. Nice.
That's it. That's it. So it updates all the time with this stuff. So I got a whole library of these things. So if I want to choose to sit down and make all these characters, I can voice them now. It'll take a little tweaking because it hasn't got tone right just yet. But you go into a free app called Audacity and you can adjust the pitch on these voice samples that you record through this app I just showed you. I told you, in a week, you can have Transformers Rise of the Beast, and it's just you in your living room.
And look, we know this is going to be like a massive like legal battle here over the next several years. Like we know that it's coming, but at the same time, you can't like stop people from like producing this stuff. Like, you can stop them from maybe distributing it. Maybe there's ways around that, but I look at it the same way.
But yeah,
I look at it the same way as like look at like someone who makes like a fan created game, like someone who takes the time to like craft like game or use sprites from a game that's already existed and try to craft. Like a good example of this is like the Streets of Rage remake game. Like somebody took the first 3 Streets of Rage games, completely customized it and made it up to date. Now, of course, the thing is that they can't actually make money off of it because that's where Sega will drop the hammer on them and whatnot. But it can still be out there. So it's like when people are making like AI songs, they're making like AI movies and clips and stuff like that. Like you can't really stop them like from doing it. There's gonna be a lot of like cease and desist. Stop using my likeness. It's like, I'm sorry, what you created this tool. It's too late to put it back in the box. It's like you should have tried to made it in the first place.
And to what you guys were all saying, and especially Kate, it's like as we go forward, you can a lot of these things will get taken down. You'll have legal battles, yada yada yada. But the important thing to take away from this is sort of the Pal World model, right? Once those productions are out there, once, you know, Sider starts making his own Captain America movies, once Jacob finally starts making the Blade movie that Marvel never will, like once those get out there and people just see them, and they're better quality and they have better writing or whatever, even if they're AI, even if they get shut down, now people have that standard out there, just like with Power World and Pokemon. Now that Power World's out there, they could shut it down, memory hole it forever, but people will still go, hey, remember that? They did that way better than, you know, Pokemon actually does. So in the future, you'll have all these conversations that start off with, okay, yeah, here's Captain America Fart World Order, but yeah, Cider over here did, you know, Captain America, the Bold and the Heroic, and it was
The
great.
Bold and the Beautiful.
And now the Bold and the Beautiful. There you go. We're doing. Isn't that a soap opera? We're doing
It
a
is.
spinoff.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly, perfect. But that's the thing. Is like, as long as these get out there, it's going to light fires under companies' butts. What were you saying, Cider?
Well, I wanted to show you this right
Yeah.
here. Now I've sped this up, so we won't listen to the audio here. But this guy got ChatGPT to code Flappy Bird, correct the mistakes. Then he went over to Midjourney, had it generate the sprites, and then had it generate a background that could be looped infinitely. So in 7 minutes, ChatGPT and Midjourney, about a year ago, 10 months ago, created Flappy Bird. That's it.
That's crazy. I never thought of it. Like, I know
code.
people have used it for making code, but I didn't realize how simple that sort of game design process is right there. Like watching him type out that little thing where it said like, don't start my character, like rewrite the code so my character doesn't move when until I touch it or whatever. Like, and then it went, okay, cool, got it. And it's just, that would take lots of testing beforehand.
So there it is. In 7 minutes, this guy had a complete Flappy Bird game right there. And that's so that again,
bonkers.
So you sit down, and that was 10 months ago, okay? And now you got Grok. And Grok the other day, and if anybody missed this, okay, Grok came out and Grok said, he answered a question. The AI, he was asked, Grok, why is the NFL listed as an entertainment company, not a sports company? And Grok answered, oh, because they can then fix the results and not get sued for doing so.
Point shaving.
That went everywhere. So Grok is totally so now you can sit down with Grok and you say, hey Grok, I need a Unity code that I can strap onto my mocap character to make sure it's not jittering when it's running. And Grok can do that for you. It's a much more stable AI than ChatGPT is, because ChatGPT is being censored. You've got corporations in there that are telling it what to say, what to react with. It had a huge glitch a couple of days ago because it got a massive language like scalping. So it started responding to math equations with like these supervillain dialogues about obliterating flowers and butterflies and stuff like that. Emojis and all.
Scraped it.
but that's what happens. So Grok doesn't have that problem. Grok's totally uncensored. So you can go into Grok and have it generate cell phone app code if you want.
That's crazy. That's actually bizarre. Have you before we move on from that, did you guys see the is it Microsoft's AI who like it refuses to generate pictures of white people?
Yep.
Have you seen that going around?
Oh yeah.
It's so funny.
Scottish. It was people in Scotland born in Ireland. People born in Ireland in the 1800s, and it shows like a girl, like the girl from Brave. Like blazing red hair, green dress, freckles, and as white as the driven snow. And she's cuddled up to a fella that looks like he's fresh from a rap video. You know, like he's straight out of Wakanda.
There was another one, I believe it was like, show me pictures of like Vikings, and like the first two are like the blackest Vikings you've ever seen in your entire life.
Oh yeah, Spencer's got some of them.
Yeah,
right
this is my favorite one so far because it's like. Make me some American Revolutionary War soldiers. And not only do you get like a Japanese soldier and a black female soldier, but you get the Native American down there with the like face paint, which is so funny to me because no, that's not how it happened. And then I saw one or like I saw a couple earlier today where it was like, generate me a nun. And it was all like black nuns. And then it was like, generate me a pope. And it was like an African, like Ethiopian cleric as a pope. And it was just like, what are you guys doing?
And for them to do that, that means that they went out of their way to make sure that we can't generate any white people
Yeah.
from this technology, like whatsoever.
That's what reminded me of it, because Cider was going, Grok's completely uncensored, and I'm like, oh, but you know what's not? This one. This one is completely propagandized, and a lot of them are. I know that was a big like thing recent or not recently, but like a couple months ago. It was like, yeah, you try to ask it anything, towards white people, like, can you get me some white history, or like what's good about white-based societies? And he goes like, no, can't do that. And you go like, what's good with like black-based societies? And he goes, well, let me tell you. And it's just like, get out of here, we don't want that.
Right. I do have a comment to close this out though for the AI thing. So KJ says this is why we shouldn't fear these clowns trying to control AI. They can try and make us slaves to it, but enough people will build better ones without the censorship. What I want to stress about this is I was thinking about this whole AI thing taking over, and I was like, no, this is a fad. You remember when Siri was going to take over the world, and we were all Siri was going to be your best friend? Do you remember when Alexa was your best friend and would fart on command for you, and that was going to take over the world, and we were all done. Humans were over with.
Peak of human development.
Right. So this is what AI is. People are going to be fascinated with it, like a new kitten, a new puppy, and they'll be like, oh, you look at all the neat things it can do, and then they're going to get bored of it. Because I realized the other day, we will never live in a voice command society. That's what AI's true capability is that it just brings your imagination. We can't do it. It's not because of the dialect. It's simply because our society is full of idiots.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going with.
They won't be able to explain what they want to the AI, so they'll just smash it when it doesn't work.
The files are in the computer.
Smacking it like an old TV.
You just go to a fast food joint right now that still has a cash register and not one of those touch screens that gets smashed every week. You go in there and you sit there and you listen to people try and explain what the menu item in front of their face is. Okay? And then try to tell me that AI is going to take over anything.
I know that it sounds like such a an overdone sitcom bit, but it's so true, especially if anybody's done any interstate traveling and you go on an interstate and you stop off at a gas or a truck stop with a Carl's Jr. or something. That's where it's like, can I get the chicken sandwich? Okay. Can I get that with the patty instead? Well, then why don't you just ask the burger? I don't want the burger. I want the chicken sandwich with the patty. And it's just like, all right, I don't know what we're doing here anymore. Move, please.
Yeah. And they're not even trying to prank you.
No, they're not. That's just how they. What do you mean? I ate breakfast. What were you saying, Jacob?
No, I did want to bring this up here too, just kind of an example of just how, because the music industry, I think it's going to be the first one that kind of war against AI, because the voices are a lot easier to adapt right now than the video. They're still working on the video concept, but the voices are a lot easier to adapt. So this is a Linkin Park's version of Pokemon. I don't think anyone's going to claim this, because who the hell would claim this, even if it was?
But it's not even a real song. Yeah.
It's yeah, so here's the example of the Linkin Park Pokemon song.
The power that's inside. Pokemon, gotta catch you
I have that
oh, no, I just have this. I'm not pulling it up for you. I can hear it.
This is old though.
Yeah, like I said, it's an example of what they're already doing.
We could do this all night. Believe me.
Oh yeah.
Because I had one made of me singing that Grand Theft Auto 6 song, "Love Is a Long Road."
I like that one.
Yeah, it is me. It's not me, but it is me. It's 10 minutes of my voice, and then I recorded myself singing it terribly, karaoke style. And then this guy in Indonesia just, strapped my voice over the top of Tom Petty, and it's me doing that, but it's not me. It's very bizarre, but yeah, AI is a whole show in itself. Really, it's not even a episode. It's a whole show.
Yeah, we could literally, and we could host that show weekly, and just looking at everything that's coming out.
Right.
That Pokemon cover, that definitely sounded like something that would be on the music inspired by Pokemon CD that they would have put out in the 90s
Or
mid
like
2000s.
Pokemon 4, and that's the guys who
Yes.
sang the intro theme, that Linkin Park's cover is like what they do the trailer with,
And then you see like that you have all the posters for Pokemon 4 or 3 or whatever, and it's like the logo and then a giant thing for American audiences that says theme song by Linkin Park.
Right. There's like a Pikachu on the dead guy's shoulder. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Those are the best.
Speaking of
all
dead
right.
guys.
Yeah, speaking of that, what do we have next? Oh, I believe this is a Jacob story, so I think we'll let Jacob take this one.
Yeah, I actually should have had this one pulled up on my end, so I actually could read it here for a second. Just give me one quick second. Oh, I got it.
Yeah,
I
We
got
can
it.
scroll down.
And just in case anybody was wondering, because I remembered it right after I forgot it, and we just let the conversation get away from us. What I wanted to bring up about Marvel was that in terms of script writers and all that, when we were talking about that, the script, like they just hired a new script polisher for, I believe, Avengers 5. And it is the same person who polished up the scripts for Thor Ragnarok and Black Widow. So,
Oh boy, polished.
Oh boy, I know. I cannot wait for that movie. But that was what I wanted to say about writers.
Keep in mind that that's after
Leslie!
they booked the guy from Ant-Man 3 to write Avengers, which I don't even know why they thought that was a good idea. But then Jonathan Majors got fired. It's like, yeah, you know what? We kind of don't need you anymore. So, adios there, pal.
So here's one thing, and I guess, it's a good time as any to talk about it. I'm writing this article right now. It'll probably be up, in 30 minutes after the show is over. But according to sources, quote unquote, at Marvel, they are now pivoting like officially away from Kang, like we all knew they probably would be. But according to them, that decision was made way before his legal troubles. Apparently, they made that decision when they saw the disaster that was Ant-Man. They basically went, oh, we can't like rely on this guy. He couldn't even sell a crappy Ant-Man film. So I just thought that was hilarious. It might be false, but I think it's hilarious.
I think that may be them trying to spin it a little bit, because here's the thing, like, like if you've been listening to the show long enough, you know how much they went all in on Jonathan Majors. Like they thought he was going to be the absolute like next big thing. Like even as far as like they put the screenwriter of Ant-Man on the Avengers film, thinking that this is going to be such a character that everyone's going to love. Might as well just keep the same writer to have him being like the Avengers too, right?
Everybody loves that portrayal and the way he's being like shown on screen, right? Let's get more of that.
If they thought that Jonathan Majors was going to have the Thanos effect, and he absolutely did. Now it's convenient timing for them that the second that film bombed, then we got the legal stuff. So now we can conveniently say, just so happens that we can move in another direction now. But it's like, yeah, exactly. It's a oops. It's a big oops. But yeah, so let's talk about how Marvel. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, you have to look at it from this perspective. This is a film that probably won't be seen live day till 2026 at the earliest. Is this dude going to be like at least 52 by the time this film comes out? So there is no like multiple like Blade movies that Ali is going to be in this MCU. This is going to be a one and done whether you like it or not, because they've waited so long to put it out there. There's no chance to even capitalize on a sequel at all. So this film has been absolutely in turmoil. You gotta remember, this was announced in 2019. We mentioned this one on Monday night. This is a movie that they announced 5 years ago at Comic-Con. They were supposed to do the filming for this in 2022. Then they were supposed to release it in 2023. And it's now been...
remember, they gave it a post-credit scene for Eternals. Like, they've already established that Blade's around. And that was, 2021?
That was a little while back ago. But since then, like I said, it was originally supposed to come out last November. November the 3rd was the original date. It then had been moved back to September 6th, 2024 of this year. Now it's looking at November 7th, 2025 of next year. And then there's a possibility it's going to get pushed back even again. So what happened here is that Fantastic Four officially got announced. So we have, the official cast for Fantastic Four, and someone looking on the calendar realized that, hey, you know what? Fantastic Four releases 2 weeks before James Gunn's Superman movie is supposed to come out as well. So it's like, oh crap, if we don't make all of our money in that first 2 weeks, we're going to get absolutely creamed by James Gunn, a guy who used to work for us. And keeping in mind, Fantastic Four is one of the properties that Disney spent $71 billion acquiring 20th Century Fox to obtain the rights of. So this is like a very, very important piece to this puzzle for them, just like the X-Men here is. So it's like, hey, we can't risk this film bombing and then getting dunked on by Superman in the same week. So now they're talking about the possibility of pushing that film back and giving it Blade's date of November 2025, which means that Blade will be further pushed back to 2026, which is about a full 7 years after it's been announced. So here's a film that's completely in developmental hell. Apparently, Mashallah Ali has been basically been feuding with the studio for quite some time, trying to get a creative direction that actually appeals to him. We've written articles about how they've wanted to have a Blade's daughter be the quote unquote Blade. We're just gonna pass the mantle on to her. There's been talks about making Blade a 4th tier character in his own movie. And there's been a lot of pushback here. The script has not even gotten off the ground. I don't know how much of this they've actually filmed up to this point, but as it stands right now, we have 6 confirmed screenwriters who have all been involved in this project. Not all of them are even with the project anymore. We have 2 directors. We initially supposed to have, I want to make sure I get the guy's name here because he was supposed to be the original director of this. Was it Bassem Tariq was supposed to be the director when it was first announced in 2021, but then he left the project a year later due to all the production shifts and creative differences, so he didn't want to be involved with this anymore. Now we have Jan Demenge, whatever his name is. I don't know why I just get normal sounding people's names to direct these movies, but
it's because you know what they're doing. They're just going, oh, hey, art, like here's an up and coming art student or whatever. Do you want your big break? And again, they just want them there to go, cut, stop, go. Yeah. All right.
So we have 2 directors, 6 writers, about 3 producers of this. Apparently, this is a film that is such a mess that it's been rumored that Kevin Feige was livid because nobody told him just how bad this film was progressing up to this point, which goes to show you just how much he's paying attention to this whole thing, that he had to have been told that this film sucked the whole bag of ass, and he somehow didn't find out that any earlier than this. So now we're at the point where there's rumors of they saying that Ali just might lead the project altogether. Now, a lot of insiders have said that that's not the case right now, that he's still involved. They're still trying to get him to move forward here, but like I said, we're getting pushback after pushback, delay after delay. It goes to show you that they have no idea what they're doing, and they're rapidly trying to like patch all the holes from this, but then they just keep finding new holes. So they got to find more duct tape to patch up the old holes, and it's all a mess. Everything about this film is a mess. And they said this is one of these movies we talk about. No, Ironheart, obviously, we talked about that one earlier. There's a few other projects that are in the line too, where this might not even like see the light of day, because you have to ask yourself, how much money have they already sunk into this project? How much more money is it going to cost just for them to get the production side of this film? So are we looking at another Marvels? Because the Marvels was pushed back multiple times. I think their production budget was almost like $280 million.
Yeah.
Well, but it's all said and done, and then that one bombed horribly. None of the news about this film has been good. So even if we get to a point where this does release in 2 years from now, is anyone going to be looking forward to this? Because everything everyone has ever heard is that this movie is shit. So how are you going to sell this to an audience who knows that this film is bad going into it?
I mean, it's that. It's also the fact that this shouldn't be that hard of a project to make, right? Like it's a vampire hunter who's a badass. Give him a sword, let him fight vampires. Done. Close the books. We're going home to an easy, I don't know, 700 million box office. I could see that. Whatever. Done. But instead of that, they're going, oh, we've got to blow everything out. We've got to make sure it's, it's Marvel, and it's just. I'm with Cider. I don't think this movie is coming. It's ever going to hit the screen. There's just no way at this point.
And like I said, he was 45, 44 years old when he announced this a few years ago. And like I said, by the time that this even comes out and they haven't even shot this thing, that he's going to be like 52 years old. So he's at that range where he's already aging himself out of the role that he hasn't even technically accepted yet. So. And Oaktown Girl brings up a good point here. Says that Ali should have demanded to see a script before signing on a dotted line. We've seen this a lot with comic book movies that apparently, like I said, we thought the way that Hollywood worked is like, hey, I got this great script. You want to read this script and see if you want to agree to be a part of this movie? And then so-and-so actor sits there, reads the script, be like, oh yeah, this is really good. I want to make this film. Now it feels like they're just saying, "Hey, you want to make a Blade movie? You want to be in Blade?" And then it's like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll be in Blade. Where's the script?" It's like, "Oh, we'll deal with that later. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it." And then you actually saw like the script. It's like, "Oh God, I should have never said yes to this."
Right. I mean, like I feel like he was probably one of the last, if not the last people to go like, oh, this is a Marvel film. Sign me up. I know it's going to be great because yeah, he obviously his film's not getting out. We've seen almost every other actor who's not like a brand newcomer, like Aman Vellani. We've seen all of them go, yeah, we don't want to be like, we have scheduling conflicts. Sorry. We saw Stephen Yun leave. We saw the chick from The Menu leave, both of them from Thunderbolts.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so this is just at this point, it's almost like if you get your Blade movie that everybody is clamoring for, the only option, like you said, is he's so old now. The only option is to really have him pass on the mantle, right? Like there's no other. He's not going. We won't believe a 55-year-old
You're not going to get a Blade 3
right?
with this actor. You're just not. It's not going to happen.
Well, it's like you're not going to get a Blade 2. You're not going to get a Blade 3. I highly doubt he's going to be up for Avengers whenever that, happens. If it happens, we don't know. That's getting pushed back too. So it's just all over the place. It's all so bad.
So here's where we're at with Phase 5, and I'll shoot this one back to you guys here. We had Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was supposed to be the, oh my God, Jonathan Majors is so awesome movie. That movie flopped. You had Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I guess you can call that film a success, even if it's a marginal one. It's still a success.
Yeah,
right?
it made like $5, but yeah, still technically a success.
Yeah.
It made its money back.
Then you had The Marvels, another movie that was delayed for years, came out and it absolutely flopped. Now they're hoping that somehow Deadpool and the Wolverine can save whatever interest people had in the MCU by putting it all on this film. So now this is their all in, we have to succeed with this film or else we're screwed movie, right? That's coming out this summer. We know Captain America is in reshoots right now because that film is terrible. We know that Thunderbolts is now having casting issues because people are dropping out of that movie, so they haven't even started pre-production on that film yet because people are bouncing out. That's the entirety of Phase 5. That's the whole MCU right there. I'm not even counting like the Disney Plus stuff because at this point, clearly nobody cares about the Disney Plus stuff. So now you jump over to Phase 6, and here's what you have for Phase 6 that's been announced. You have this Fantastic Four movie, which I wouldn't have very high hopes of. I think they already have like 5 screenwriters attached to that film, and they haven't even started shooting yet. It's like Jeff Kaplan, Ian Springer, Josh Freeman, Cameron Sykes, Eric Pearson. They're all been accredited screenwriters now, so that's already a mess. Then, of course, we have Blade. I already told you the whole story about Blade. Then we have Avengers 5, because we can't call it the Kang Dynasty now because there's no more Kang. But Avengers 5 is still slated for 2026 for now. And then you have Secret Wars in 2027, which is basically the MCU's attempt of, we're just going to put everyone in one movie and hope that we can just make a complete clusterfuck that will put people in the in the movie theaters. And that's all you have. That's it. I mean, no one cares about this Wonder Man project that you guys are working on, or
nobody wants a Shang-Chi 2. Nobody wants any of that.
Nobody wants an Eternals 2. No one's asking for any of this. So this is the future of the MCU right now, and none of it is good. Absolutely none of it's good.
I looked up the Fantastic Four writers on IMDb because I just wanted to see how many there were while you were going through it, and. So there's one name there that everybody might have recognized when Jacob was going through it. It's Josh Friedman, right? Or here, let me reorder the way I want to present this. So there were 2 names there that Jacob dropped: Ian Springer and Jeff Kaplan. These 2 guys have like 2 indie films to their name that are both on IMDb, rated around 5 and 6. Which we know that doesn't really say a lot, but for indie films, it kind of weighs in a little more because nobody's really going out to fight a battle over Bert and Arnie's Guide to Friendship from 2013.
Yeah.
But so you have those 2 films, like you have 2 films from those guys. Then you have the name I brought up, which is Josh Friedman. He's actually got some writing credits, but I mean, here, let me just list off some of his bigger productions. He did the Snowpiercer TV series. He did the Avatar: The Way of Water story. He did what is this right here? The War of the Worlds movie from Tom Cruise, which actually not half bad. I actually like that one a lot. But then he also was the writer for Terminator Dark Fate. So that's who's handling your Marvel movies right now, or your
Yeah.
next big swing to make the Marvel Cinematic Universe relevant again.
I mean, as an actual screenwriter, the majority of his writing credits are for films that haven't even come out yet. So he has like Avatar 4 and Avatar 5 and
I
like
love that
some
picture.
Star Trek movie that's in like development that hasn't even been done yet. So like I said, the last actual movie that he was involved in that he actually gets a like straight up like writing credit for was the Black Dahlia in 2006. That's the last film that he's been a part of. So he's been part of crafting stories for films, but he's not like an official screenwriter for the movie.
And I don't know if you guys, if anybody here has seen that Black Dahlia movie, it's kind of crappy. Like it's really, really crappy. It's got early ScarJo in it, but it's pretty crappy.
Yeah. So like I said, this whole MCU thing, it feels like they should have just ended it with Endgame. Like it should have just been over there, but Disney was too busy looking at the dollar signs. It's like, we can't stop now. We can keep this going for another 10 years. And it took them about 2 years to realize that they couldn't keep this going for another 10 years. But they're here now. They can't stop. So it's like, what do you do?
It's also like, it's a stunning testament to how, I mean, stupid and dumb and slow-witted Bob Iger is, right? Because he's coming in here and going, oh, everybody wants Marvel stuff. Like he comes to the realizations so late, right? Like, you know, Endgame ends, you've got Black Widow and Shang-Chi and all these are coming out and people are going, oh, this is terrible. Like we don't want any of this. We don't want She-Hulk. We don't want Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What happened to the MCU? And then it takes, you know, 2024. So last year, it took 2023 for Bob Iger to go, okay, we need to, you know, scale back on our film production. We need to focus on quality over quantity. And it's like, this is what we've been telling you the whole time. And like, I bring that up specifically because I was talking with a friend about this earlier today. The recent deal where Disney bought an ownership stake in Epic Games. If anybody saw the press surrounding that, Bob Iger came out and he I think it was MSNBC said, what, you know, hey, give us some info, some insight into this merger. What motivated it, blah, blah, blah. And Bob Iger said something along the lines of, oh, well, when I was looking at just how much time, you know, all demographics were spending video games, I was blown away. I had no idea. I thought, you know, we got to get ourselves in there. And it's like, dude, this is 2024. Like, what do you mean video games are something you need to get into? Like they've been a thing forever. And you guys also had like 3 video game development studios that shut down under your watch before you left and gave the title to Chapek for those like 5 years. So I just like, obviously leadership is borked. All the writing staff is borked. It's not great.
Yep, and like I said, I don't know how you turn, like it goes to show you just how much ego is running wild at Disney right now, because you had Kevin Feige just walking around like he was the best producer in the history of Hollywood with this whole MCU thing. Like he literally couldn't be touched, and now that, you know, the literal walls are like not caving in, they're like falling in actively, and people are like, you know what has this Kevin Feige been doing for us lately, right? Because apparently this whole MCU thing is like rapidly falling apart under his watch. It's like, what is it? Like, now the heat's on him, he doesn't know how to react to it. Then you even have like Bob Chapek, who thought that he was gonna just waltz back into Disney, be like, "Don't worry, everyone, I'm gonna save this company." And then a year later, it somehow has gotten even worse than when he took it over from what's his face? Iger took it over from Chapek, right?
Yeah. No, I
don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
One of the best examples of that quote, and also just how far Kevin Feige has fallen, I think, is the Marvel's premiere event, right? Because if you guys knew, you know, everything pretty much up till Phase 4, we had premieres at like Man's Chinese Theater, at that other one that's across the, what is that one? The like El Capitan, I think it is. All these like big one. Yeah, you know what it is. It's like all these big theaters in LA, sometimes, you know, on Hollywood. And then for the Marvels, their promotional event was held at Las Vegas in front of the Sphere. And that was it. And it's just like, man, if that isn't a sign of just how degraded the quality of this product has gotten.
Well,
I genuinely
to be fair, it may just have more to do with the fact that there's a lot more crackheads on Hollywood Boulevard than there were a couple of years ago. So maybe that's not a direct correlation to what's happening with the MCU.
Okay, you know what? That's fair, Kevin. I'll give that one to you. That's fair. We'll blame that one on Newsom.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, if you want crackheads, go to California. If you want meth heads, go to Nevada. That's how it works.
What a perfect West Coast setup we have over here.
Everything's great.
Hey, it's me in HD asks, yeah, Wonder Man, what is the obsession with Yahya Abdul? Yeah, I like Yahya Abdul as an actor. I actually think he was probably the only good parts about the Aquaman movies. Like every time he was on screen, it was compelling, it was exciting, and you wish you could have. At least I was like, just focus on him. I don't care about these CG water dragons or whatever. But I think the Wonder Man point is something. So the Yahya thing that's just the business of Hollywood. That's agents doing their job, getting their clients in, whatever, blah 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 blah. But I think the more prescient thing you brought up is that Wonder Man point. Why are we even doing Wonder Man? And it was, let's see, who said it here? Somebody just said it. Yeah, Eccentric Banana brings up, must buy everything, says Bob Iger. Well, it's not just must buy everything. It's that, but it's also must merchandise, must market everything. If we have something, throw it out there. And again, remember, he's behind the curve. So he still thinks we're in peak MCU where you can throw out something as weird as the Guardians of the Galaxy or Groot or Ego the Living Planet, and everybody goes, yay. Oh, no.
No, I know why they did Wonder Man.
Why is that? Oh, boy.
Everybody involved in the creation of Wonder Man's dead.
Yeah. Yep, that is 100% what it is.
There's no royalties to pay. There's no licensing. There's nobody that has to get credited with jack nothing.
No one to stop us from perverting what it was actually supposed to be.
Exactly.
Well, they're gonna do that. Obviously, they're already race swapping him. But I'm also laughing because, like, this is gonna, because of that situation, this might be the first MCU under Disney project that doesn't try to set up an original Disney successor, but it's all in service of, like a crappily race swapped Wonder Man. Like, it's what a mess that is.
Yeah.
Hey, it's me in HD says, wait, Spencer, as time goes on, isn't it more obvious Feige was always a con man? I kind of think, I don't know if I would go so far as to say con man. I think I would say very, 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 very overrated. Very, very, what's the right word? Like boosted up to a position where he probably shouldn't have been. Like the early MCU was great, but nowadays he's too concerned with greenlighting everything and making everything out there and trying to convince everybody that the MCU is great instead of actually making the MCU great.
I think that, with the early MCU when it was just the movies and like that was it, he was clearly more hands-on with the actual projects itself, so he actually did have more influence over say phase 1 and phase 2. He was working more directly with those projects and overseeing things. Now that it's become so big and it's like, oh, we're gonna have phase 6 and we're gonna do like 8 Disney Plus series, then we're gonna have like 5 or 6 movies. Now he's just like kind of like passing the bucks to like the screenwriters and like the showrunners and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, it looks good. You can just do your stuff over there. Like
pretty
the
much.
whole thing with like She-Hulk is a perfect example of this. It's like Jessica Gal was just left to her own devices. He was like, yeah, I don't even care anymore. I got other things to work on. And apparently, like I said, if you look at the stories going on about Blade, clearly he's not on the day-to-day about how bad Blade was. He had to have been told that Blade was absolute dumpster fire. So yeah.
And I mean, we've had so many different reports that are like, oh yeah, Kevin isn't really reading anything anymore. I remember the one that always sticks out to me is when Variety or whomever was breaking down the Daredevil reboot or the reworking, and they basically said the show was being creatively led by a council. And it was like Kevin Feige, Louis D'Esposito, Sana Amanat, who we all know is just annoying activist. And like a couple other random like creatives. I think like the Moon Knight guys might have been on there. But that's, I think that is, again, like that speaks to the problem we were talking about earlier, right, Jacob? With so many writers, with so many people overseeing it, it's easy to go, you take this one. Okay, you take that one. I don't really care. I got to go work on this one. And if you stretch yourself too thin, you end up with Shang-Chi. You end up with the Marvel. Like it's not a way to succeed. And especially because or dang it, I put it away. As Jose brings up here, they let their egos get in the way. Feige could have easily set up some sort of like team, right? Like here are 4 producers. Okay, you go produce the street level movies. You produce the Avengers movies. You go produce Disney Plus, and you go produce, I don't know, the Magic side or something. He could have done that. Everybody could have worked together. You could have had a core unit, but instead he just goes, no, I'm still on top. You guys just sort of report to me, tell me what's going on, and then I'll give you an answer from there. So yeah, it's definitely ego. It's definitely there cannot be Jose. Jose says there are people still defending She-Hulk. It's sad.
Yep.
I refuse to believe
There are.
How? We're
They're
already
on
so
Reddit.
past
They're
it.
on Reddit. They're on Reddit.
Oh, of
Okay,
course.
they're Redditors. Okay,
No,
They're
well, now I do it.
Redditors. They
They're not
got
human.
the pronouns in their bios. Of course.
not.
How could I have forgotten?
but
They
no,
don't deserve
see,
rights.
this is the thing we found out with the Writers Guild though, with the strike, is that we found out they had no showrunners and they had no show Bibles.
Yeah.
So they were quite literally just making it up as they went along. Then we found out, we got that video, remember, of all the Marvel writers and directors and producers admitting they were told
Yep.
not to familiarize themselves with the source material. They were in fact driven away from doing that. So
Mhm.
is it any wonder why we ended up with so much stuff that Disney ended up saying was out of alignment with the market?
Absolutely not at all. Like none of this is a surprise. I don't think any of us are surprised. Most of us are just hanging our head like, I didn't think they could like screw it up more.
I didn't
There's
want to
no
be
way.
right.
There's no
I
yeah,
didn't wanna
exactly.
be
Like,
right.
I can't believe it. I got it, but didn't want it.
Well, speaking of didn't want it.
That's exactly how I was going to lead into it. Who has seen this story? Let's shift gears here. Yes, we know the MCU is failing. Yes, we know that there's probably no real hope for it in the future. But guess what, guys? The reason it is failing is because it doesn't have a decent action star. What it needs to do is tap Rachel Zegler. So, in case you guys did not see the news from a couple days ago, the award ceremony happened over the weekend, but the 2024 People's Choice Awards. In case you guys don't know what they are, which I'm sure maybe one person doesn't know, they are an annual fan vote award show where people, they used to call in and cast their vote. Now you go online and you cast your vote. So most of this stuff is all a fan vote. As a result of the fan vote this year, in a crowd of amazing competitors, so let's see, the competitors for Rachel Zegler in this award were, we had Viola Davis for the Hunger Games as well, which I'm going to comment on that because what the hell. But then we also had Gal Gadot for Heart of Stone, Brie Larson for The Marvels, Jason Momoa for Aquaman, and Chris Pratt for Guardians of the Galaxy, Tom Cruise for Mission Impossible, and Keanu Reeves for John Wick 4. So with that entire pool of people up to vote, Rachel Zegler takes home the win for the Hunger Games Ballad of Songs and Snakes. Now, I think I touched upon this very briefly at the beginning of the show, but a review of all of the action scenes from this movie, it's just her running. It's nothing really that impressive. Sometimes she makes a little tumble, but again, this is compared to the guy who jumps off cliffs. This is compared to the guy who throws himself downstairs. None of the fact that she won this award at all, was even in the running for this award, is absurd. And to that extent, I don't know why Viola Davis was in the running for this category, because as far as I can tell, she doesn't do anything runny actiony. She does some moves, like stabs at people, but she doesn't action. So
who are you to doubt the Meemaw King?
It's funny you say that, because when I saw her name on there, I thought it was Viola Davis, she's probably being nominated for the Woman King. I don't even remember when that movie came out, but I was like, okay, that would make not sense, but at least it works. And then I was like, Hunger Games? She's just there yelling the entire time. She's just Amanda Waller in that movie. And I don't know how you got that. Okay. I do know how
there by having very, very low standards. So that's how you get there. I think that's how we all get there.
You get there with very, very low standards, but you also get there with having teenage girls and people who are terminally online as your fan base. Because I'm almost positive that the only reason Rachel Zegler won is because you have a bunch of girls who are already online on social media anyway, going, oh yeah, I'm already here. I'll go vote for her today. Hey, let's go get our Stan accounts and blast it out across Twitter. So while this is all entirely stupid, it makes there's an explanation as to why it happened. So yeah.
Wait, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
You've got Swifties. Would you call these Zeeglites?
Zeeglites? Oh, Zieglites, Ziegheilers, maybe. Do you guys like that one? I think that one could work.
Big hey.
Ziegheil.
Sure, why not? You know, it's not like the Zoomers know history. So.
No, of course not. They thought
You
Hitler
heard
was
it
a
here
made-up
first.
person.
Hitler was a myth.
Yeah,
There you
exactly.
go.
I know. I knew that was the one that we were all.
That's going to
thinking
be a
of.
thing. You wait.
It already is a thing. There are like teachers every day who come on to like subreddits and stuff, and they're like, I can't believe my kids thought World War II was not real, or like Hitler wasn't real. And it's just like, oh, we are so cooked. We're so cooked as a society. We're so done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think like I said, this is all completely stupid. It, obviously was probably influenced by her teenage fans, but the takeaway I sort of wanted to leave everybody with, and I tried to communicate it in the article. I was really tired when I wrote it. It might not have come across right. And if it didn't, let me know. I will gladly go in and clarify it. But this is sort of like the main, or like one of the best examples of why you don't appeal to mainstream audiences, right? Or that concept of mainstream general audiences, because 9 times out of 10, they're stupid and they're swayed by the dumbest of things. Like they didn't vote Zegler the winner because they actually thought she was a great stunt performer. They voted her because 1, she's in a franchise they know, and 2, she's an it person, right? I kind of look at the Oscars 2 or 3 years ago when all the people wanted Spider-Man No Way Home nominated for like Best Picture. You still have people today going, oh, why isn't Across the Spider-Verse nominated for Best Picture?
Remember when you had people who were like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. should get an Oscar for Endgame because I cried when he says, I am Iron Man, and snapped his fingers. It's like, remember that whole thing?
I remember that, and it still happens to this day. I mean, you had, I think, so I don't remember who was doing it on stream. It might have been you, me, Scott over at Sport King, but there was like a review that some complete shill soy boy put on Twitter where it was like, I just saw Madam Web and I've never cried so hard at a Marvel movie. Like, I've finally been moved to tears. Dakota should be recognized. And I'm just like, shut the hell. Like, nobody's even buying it. If I were your shill bosses, I would go, you're fired for being way too obvious. Like, you're trying way too hard.
She's not even buying it.
Right. She's not even buying it. Jacob, do you want to walk him through how little Dakota Johnson is buying it?
Okay, so here's a revelation that we talked about like last night too, because
Yes,
there's kind of like a side prevailing narrative here that she just might not be the brightest person in the room. Let's just put it that way. I think that's probably the nicest way that I can say it here. But there is a lot going on here because the Hollywood Reporter kind of started this whole thing because they put out an article this weekend talking about that. Hey guys, some of these conspiracy theorists on the internet are trying to say that Dakota Johnson hates her own movie. It's like, well, I don't think it's this conspiracy theorists. People are putting patterns here together. So what happened is that Dakota Johnson made a couple of interesting comments during the promotion for this film, which bombed horribly and everyone hated, by the way. But she first thing that she noticed is that
50 seconds. They're in their costumes for 50 seconds.
Yeah, I counted. What is stuff?
I did. I went through my very, very legally acquired copy of Madam Web and put a timer on my phone. Hit play, like for all those scenes, and it said 50.042, and I was like, "This, I'm going to lose my mind."
So she came out and she said that, she hadn't even watched the movie and has no like plans to desire to watch this film in the future. Right now, a lot of people were like, well, wait a second, didn't she go to the premiere of this film? And it's like, yeah, she did, but she basically admitted to sneaking out and go catching dinner because she didn't want to actually watch this film at all. So that was like one thing that people was like, oh, that's a weird comment to make about a film that everyone universally hates. Then there was like another comment about, her co-stars, which, a little bit younger than she is by about almost 10 years, maybe a little bit more. But he was talking about how,
whoa, I didn't realize that was the gap. Damn.
Yeah, like I said, she's like 1 year younger than me, I think, right at this point. So it's like, yeah,
I had no idea. Wow, that's crazy.
So she was also saying that, that her co-stars were a little bit of on the annoying side, almost as if there was some kind of heat between her and her co-stars. Then, of course, as Brian Rad here says, when this trailer for this movie actually released, and this was about in November when the trailer released, and I got absolutely roasted, by the way, by people. It's like, oh my God, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. 2 days later, she fired her agency. She went and found a new agency because obviously she wasn't happy about something, and they said that in the industry this raised a lot of red flags. People's like, oh, why would she do such a thing like that if she wasn't happy by what the film that she got into? Then there was also allegations there that maybe she thought she was actually getting into an MCU film with Spider-Man, didn't realize she was going to be like a Sony standalone film and had nothing to do with the MCU whatsoever. So that obviously drew some ire as well. There was probably a couple other people who thought that. So people are just putting all these things together, all these comments that she's making here, and it's like, oh, wait a second, does she actually like hate this film? And I go back to what Chris Hemsworth said about Taika Waititi when Thor: Love and Thunder came out, when he talked about that this is a film that a 8-year-old would make, which is like a really just direct shot at Taika Waititi, what he was saying there.
100%.
And then she even admitted in a separate interview here, all these comments people are putting together. It's like, well, by the way, the film that I signed up for, the one that I said yes to, that's not the film that actually came out in theaters. The script changed from the movie that I agreed to, which she publicly admitted that too. She had absolutely like no conscience. Like, yeah, it's probably not something that you can tell people because they're gonna think that this movie sucks now. And then this was the best one here. It was just her utter confusion about, like I said, when the trailer released. Keep in mind, she fired her agency when this whole thing happened here. But so when the trailer released, people were like, this interviewer asked her, it's like, yeah, this line that you said in the trailer, which wasn't in the movie, by the way, shocker, because it was bad.
Shocker.
But she was like, oh yeah, this line in the film went viral. She had absolutely no concept, or at least she pretended to have no concept of why this thing would go viral. It's uncomfortable to watch because you know what the implications it actually means. So I just want to play it here for you guys. Oh, hold on, let me turn it up just a little bit so you guys can actually hear it. And then now we go.
Might be aware there was a line from the trailer that went sort of viral. Do you remember that?
What was it?
It was the line that says, "He was in the Amazon with my mum when she was researching spiders right before she died." Do you remember that going viral?
Why did that go viral?
I think it went viral because out of context, people were just like, what does this mean?
Now, by the way, he's trying very, very nicely to say it went viral because people were talking about how bad that line was and how much
like,
it sucked.
what the hell was that?
But you can't say it with the star of the movie like standing right in front of you. So,
things are real rough in the UK. Harry Potter's working for the Huffington Post. Jeez.
Yeah, a gay.
Oh gosh. He's got the reaction image, the like the soy jack or whatever. It's like whatever.
Well, actually,
like
that type of thing. Yeah, we can see.
Did you catch that at all?
No. Somebody brought this up and I have no idea what it's about.
There were lots of memes because I think people were like, what is just out of the context of it, it was just a very
But
by the way, if they're making memes about that line, that means that it was a very, very bad line, and you should know that. But
isn't any sentence out of context out of context?
Yeah, very true.
What a silly thing.
There was just lots of...
You serious?
Everything out of context. How about that?
I think
English as a language is based on context. Okay.
I think I said this to you, Jacob, but it's like there's a light on in the house, but nobody's home. Nobody's
so here's the thing. Yeah. This is your only defense for Dakota Johnson right now. Wow. Maybe she doesn't hate this film. Maybe she's just really dumb. Like it's a possibility. So you gotta give her the benefit of the doubt that maybe she's just an airhead. So yeah.
So one thing I wanted to touch on that you didn't touch on there, but I think it really sells home how, in defense of her not being an airhead, but her actually hating this film. One of the comments she made recently was somebody asked her if she had seen the movie yet. And she basically went, no, I haven't. And she went, I don't know when I will, probably won't. And the whatchamacallit, the interviewer is taken aback and she goes, do you normally watch your films? And Dakota Johnson, you can see her trying to do that PR dodge because she goes, sometimes, or she goes like sometimes, and then goes like, but it's real, like I don't like it. And she's like I don't like watching myself. And I'm like, oh girl, you are trying so hard to like dodge right around the fact that you just don't want any part to do with this movie. And genuinely, I can't blame her. This movie's terrible. The final fight happens in front of a giant Pepsi Cola sign. Like, that's insane to me. In case you didn't know, what we were looking at.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, here it is.
here it is. What you were talking
Perfect.
about here.
Cider's the man.
Jacob has this.
Oh, Jacob's got it.
Yeah, what
Jacob's the man
happened?
as well.
Let's refresh that for a second because it was just
Dude.
there.
Damn you, China, and your platforms.
Mm-hmm. Chinese spyware can't even
That's
work.
what I'm saying.
I haven't actually seen the movie.
Haven't you? When you go to
Stop
somewhere,
talking
do
like you're in an
do you go out the
ASMR
back door and
video.
Go to a nice restaurant.
I'll go to have dinner.
I know. Love your honesty.
Yeah, I probably won't. I don't know when I'll see it. Someday.
But have you watched your other movies?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't like to.
Well, I was going to say your parents are actors.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever taken advice from them, or is it a way to keep grounded? Is it a way to not see yourself on the big screen and to not believe the hype?
Oh, for me, it's a way to not have like an existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's
It's so
not watching
relatable.
the
Right?
movie
It's so
is, like,
quirky.
self-care.
Like, look, like I said, I don't want to just outright call somebody dumb, but I'm pretty sure if you blow into her ears, you can use her head as a flute. That's all I'm gonna say there. So,
And again, like Dakota seems like a perfectly nice girl. She's not bad in some of her movies, but yeah, it just.
I'll give her this. She does not seem insufferable. Like that, not in the
Right.
sense of like I can't just be in the room with this person because every time she opens her mouth, I just want to like jump off of something. So there's the thing. I mean, yeah.
So this will be an analogy that you guys will understand, the men in the audience will understand, but it's kind of like I look at her and she's the kind of girl, if we went on a date, she would give like really short answers to everything and not really engage. Like, oh, hey, what's your favorite movie? Oh, I don't know. Oh, hey, that's a really cute like shirt you're wearing tonight. Oh, thanks. I got it from my friend. And it's just like,
be like,
what's
so what do you like to do in your free time? It's like, yeah, I like to watch Netflix.
Right, yeah,
watch
that's
Netflix.
exactly it. Or then if you're just hanging, like she's just always on her phone, scrolling on everything, even if she's not talking to anybody, it's just like Pinterest, Instagram, whatever. Like that's the vibe she gives me. Like 100%.
It's like,
yep,
she's not gonna drive you to like commit murder, but at the same time, it's like literally being in a relationship with like an NPC in real life. Like that's pretty much what it is.
like you fill the spot of like wife or whatever. Like you legally fill that spot, but there's not a lot of substance to me.
It's really bad when the AI girlfriend is a better conversationalist than the real life girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the entire point of her.
And then Sony saw this woman. It's like, yeah, let's give her an $80 million movie. Why not?
Like I said this before, and I think I said it on this stream last week, but this movie is, and now I can like say it wholeheartedly, like from my chest because I've seen it. But if this is clearly a move by Sony to say, oh, we want these Spider-Man movie rights, we got to hold on to them, we got to make something, but just make it and throw it in the vault like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. Like this thing did not need to see the light of day. It's going to be, it probably has been disastrous for every single one of those girls' careers. And like, aside from Sweeney and Johnson, the other two are really new. Like this is really bad for their first outing. I feel really bad for them. Bayona Red says, look at her face. She was really mad. People are making fun of her on Twitter because of that cringe trailer. Yeah, that like I think that's sort of what Cider and Jacob were sort of pointing out. Like she has such a weird response to that. Like it's so defensive. It's so nonsensical. It's so just like, it's okay. It's just a joke. Like you did have breakfast this morning. Yeah. Oaktown Girl says she comes off as quite the ditz. Yeah. Hey, it's me in HD. She's the kind of woman that considers reading books as magazines. And then Leslie shoots back. She doesn't read. She watches TikTok all the time. Yes, Leslie's got me right there. But speaking of, hey, it's me in HD. We do have we have a super chat from our friend. $2 super chat from Hey, it's me in HD. There might be a sticker. We don't get that on the StreamYard side. So if anybody wants to let us know what it is, if there's anything, thank you. We hear it. We'll shout it out. But more importantly, Hey, it's me in HD has a sort of a personal bent he wants to share with us. He says, hate to derail, but I just want to say thank you guys. After a particularly tough week due to mental health issues and personal ones, this crew in chat is so uplifting. Hey, we're happy that I mean, it seems like you're on the mend from all that stuff, but more importantly, we're happy that we could help. I mean, we
Now,
want
look,
to be.
I got to be completely honest with you. I don't know if watching Madam Web is going to help your mental health issues or make it exponentially worse. But
I kind of feel like it might help. Hey, it's me in HD because it'll give you some. You'll be like, one, my life is not as bad as anybody who is involved in this movie, and two, like it'll give you something to focus on and go like, I cannot look away. What a train wreck! There, in the beginning of the movie, Madam Web's mom gets shot by Ezekiel, and she's left to die in the Mesoamerican jungles. And all of a sudden, the spider people find her, and the spider people are dressed in all like they soak themselves in blood red and put like netting over themselves so that they look like they have the Spider-Man costume with the eye lenses and everything. It
looked like they were wearing
thing.
like the Tobey Maguire torn up Spider-Man costume. That's what they look
from
like
the end of one. Yeah.
Yep.
Like it's so every single decision that goes into it. And it's not like I'm freaking out, not just because like, oh, it mistreated the source material, but as a film, everything in this movie is just baffling. The lighting, the editing, the dialogue. Ezekiel has like 90% of his lines ADR'd over. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know. Go watch it for yourselves if you really want to like lose your minds, because I need somebody else to confirm that I'm not alone here.
I guess one more other thing we could tackle on this one before we move on is that I made this comment about Sydney Sweeney's voice in like the last podcast that we were doing. She has this very like just borderline like irritating nasally voice that kind of takes away from like her hotness. It's like whenever she like tries to like speak in like regular like roles or like whatnot, we just have to like listen to her. You just kind of go like, oh god, that's her voice. Like 26 and you're still talking like that. It's like,
see, like with Sweeney, I can sort of, I'm like, okay, I get why people find her attractive, why they like them, why Eccentric Banana has made a theme song for her spider melons. Like, I understand it. But at the same time, and Jacob, you might know that or like feel this, but I look at her and I'm just like, you're every SoCal like blonde ditz I've ever hung out with in my life or knew in my life growing up there. And I just don't want anything to do with you.
It was like literally like an early 90s Valley Girl.
Yes. Oh my God. That's like the best way. Thank you. Somebody finally put it into words, because I've been using that same analogy for like a week now. And now I have like a succinct way to put it.
I didn't even know she talked.
It's mostly by vibration. She just jumps up and down and it sends the vibrations through the air and you're supposed to pick them up like echolocation.
Well, speaking of vibrations, we've got some good vibes.
I don't know if she's a Midwestern girl hates me in HD. That's what she looks like. But yes, we actually have some pretty fun vibes, I guess we could go into nowadays, right? Or now at this moment in the show, right? We have, so a couple days ago, a production designer for both of the Spider-Verse films, they've also done a lot of other stuff, but those are the two big main credits, revealed that he and a writing partner are currently in the process of pitching an animated Batman Beyond film starring Terry McGinnis, in Neo Gotham. One of the pieces of concept art shows that Ink would be one of the villains. It looks very much like it is done in the Spider-Verse style, even from the frame or the stills that we'll see as we go down. Very, very Spider-Verse vibes. I think that's due to the color saturation and the neon glow a little bit. You can definitely see that they're a Spider-Verse, like they worked on Spider-Verse. But yeah, according to the production designer, his name is Yuki Demur. They went to, about 5 months ago, he and his writing partner, Patrick Harpin, went to Warner Brothers and said, hey, here's our pitch. We want to do a Batman Beyond movie. What do you say? And according to him, Warner Brothers basically went, you can pitch it, but it's never going to happen. There's just no way it's going to happen. They haven't told us whether it's because of budget or production plans, but Warner Brothers just said not happening. According to Yuki, after a couple meetings, it went from never happening to we'll see. They like their enthusiasm. Nothing has been greenlit yet, but Yuki is hoping that with enough fan support, show everybody what's going on, spread it around, share your friends, make those tweets, that maybe we could get this project off the ground sometime. They want to get it to James Gunn to pitch it. Not entirely sure that'll work out for them, because James Gunn's entire plans right now are a disaster, and he's just adding more things. Now we have Captain Atom being introduced into the DCU already, and it's just like you need to chill out. But overall, I think this does look good. I saw this. I was pretty taken aback. I do think it leans a little hard into the Spider-Verse stylings, but I also don't know how much of that is the Yuki's fault for working in that style, or it's just the inherent similarities between both productions would be anyway. You can't really deviate from this for Batman Beyond, right? You need the futuristic aesthetic. You need all the bright lights. You need the Blade Runner glowing ads. So yeah, overall, I think this could be cool. No idea if it's ever going to get off the ground. We already know that Warner Brothers is basically done with their animated features for now. That was news that was revealed during the press tour for Crisis in Infinite Earths Part 1. The directors and the producers for that film all confirmed that they have James Gunn has no plans for the animated stuff right now, and neither does Warner Brothers. So all of that stuff is sort of in the water, but yeah, could be cool. I'd be up to see it. What about you guys?
Jacob?
Well, I was gonna make the note that you talk about this might not ever see the light of day because Warner Brothers Animation is probably gone. Warner Brothers might actually be gone before this thing sees the light of day. But there's a point I want to make. I actually want to get Cider's intake on this one because,
like I said, we'll close out on that because I think that'll be our big closer. That is insane news.
Because I will say this, I liked Batman Beyond, obviously the animated series years ago, like a lot of other people did. I wouldn't say that I'm quite as fanatical about it as a lot of other people are because I just thought that the animated series was a bit better, but I can see why people love the aesthetic of Batman Beyond. The suit, which wasn't it Arkham that replicated the suit? Which I don't remember which Arkham one, but I think it was the last one before.
Arkham Knight.
It was really cool.
Arkham Knight.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So I understand it feels like that this kind of project has always just been like a golden goose that everyone has always talked about seeing, especially on the big screen, but for whatever reason, it's just never been done. It's never even been teased that this is the direction that they ever want to go in. So I feel this way too. I'm not sure if Cider agrees with me. It feels like everything about 20, 30 years ago, we were like, oh man, I can't wait for them to do that. I can't wait for them to do that.
Yep.
Now that we've seen what Hollywood has done with these projects, like the things we talked about throughout the course of this night, I'm in the camp of, you know what? Don't do Batman Beyond. I'd rather have a good memory of the property rather than you guys do a really terrible version of it, and then it's like, okay, now I'm stuck with this for like the rest of my existence.
But before we go to Cider, just a quick hit. I was playing some party games with some friends over the weekend, and as part of one of the game setups, you had to write a bunch of questions from a prompt or answers to a prompt, right? And one of the prompts was describe your current job to your 6-year-old self. And I was like, you won't believe it, but you get paid to read comic books, watch anime, watch movies all day, except they're all terrible now. So I'm right there behind you, Jacob. What do you think, Cider? I know you were pretty excited about this one.
I am. Admittedly, I enjoy the visual aesthetic of the Spider-Verse movies. I'm not down with the plot line in making Gwen Stacy trans. I don't think that's cool. But
it's called subtext, all right?
The visual aesthetic that mingles all of these different art styles together into one animation style looks very nice. And of course, I like the frenetic pace of it. I have ADHD. I don't know if that contributes, but definitely makes the brain happy. Lots of crazy stuff is happening all the time. And of course, with these guys, they really appreciate drawing out the emotional moment. And that was something that Batman Beyond was always very culpable at. Batman Beyond was their attempt at capturing the Spider-Man kind of energy. You had a quippy Batman that didn't have a cape anymore. He wasn't a figure of superstition. He was as reliable as the cops in Neo Gotham. If you screwed up, Batman was going to be on your head. And
he had to balance his life as a high school teenage student or teenage high school student.
And so what excites me about this is that these guys will be able to communicate what Neo Gotham is like. We saw up here, and I really saw what they were headed for with this main picture they used here with the bat symbol. So you have the Beyond suit hacking into the civil infrastructure of Neo Gotham. So you see the Oni face all the way over here. That transforms into Batman Beyond's head, and he says something like, "You can't run from me, Joker boy. I'm everywhere you look." That kind of thing. So he doesn't have to be
like
a
Hall of Mirrors
superstition.
thing.
Right. He doesn't have to be a figure of superstition anymore. He can be a figure of absolution in this movie. And what really interests me about this is that the Spider-Verse guys have been able to communicate modern teenagers. Yes, there's been a political tilt to these guys. I'm not trying to deny that. I'm not trying to tell you that Spider-Verse is good and you should expose your children to it. I don't think so. But in a cyberpunk setting, the kind of teenagers they create make sense in a world that's run by oh God, I forgot what his name is. Derek Powers.
Derek
In a world
Powers,
run by
yes.
Derek Powers, these teenagers that they're showing you in Spider-Verse very much feel at home. So I think if they tried not to make it for kids, if they did try to keep in the vein of James Gunn's attempt to adultify comics, yeah, I think you could get something pretty well executed here. You know, maybe not as extreme as like Invincible with all the blood, guts, and gore, but something that definitely has a higher ranking on the what about this cyberpunk dystopia thing, you know? So
well, I think that, you know, with what we've seen from Spider-Verse and the creative flow of that team, or of the artists at least, I think you could still get some really visceral stuff out of Batman Beyond without having to go full gory. I mean, Derek Powers is a glowing walking skeleton. Ink is a living blob of goo. Like, you could do I think you could get some pretty crazy things out of that. Also, like Derek Powers. I miss these old 90s villains names like Derek Powers, David Xanatos, like
John
strong
Fist.
men. Yeah, exactly.
Fist. Yep.
But yeah, like just before we move on, I agree with pretty much everything you said, Cider. I love those films, like the way they look. I think they're pretty well written. Again, all those issues notwithstanding. But my only fear with them making this film now in that sort of same style is that that's become sort of the thing to emulate nowadays. We saw it with there's this animated movie, The Bad Guys. We saw it with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Everybody is trying to do the sort of syncopated, different frame per second animation style of Spider-Verse. None of them done it as well as Spider-Verse. I just fear that, keep your creative vision and everything, but maybe give it a slightly different skin just to avoid comparisons that, oh, this is just Spider-Verse. Because this, I would want this project to thrive and not have any unnecessary comparisons like that. I would pull a James Gunn. I would cancel Superman and Lois so that Superman Legacy does well.
We do have a super chat.
We do. All right, $5 from Jose 2 Beast. He asks, what do you think of Adult Static and Justice League hinted in this pitch? Yeah, you're up for it.
I adore Static Shock. Static Shock is probably the best acquisition DC has made in all the years of buying up properties. Static was the perfect answer to Spider-Man, and they completely dropped the ball. I'm still angry that they didn't put Static up on Spider-Man's level and make Static side by side with Superman right in the 90s. They had the perfect opportunity.
It felt like it felt like they had him there, like the early 2000s, and then, like you said, just completely dropped the ball with him afterwards.
Yep, just totally did. So yes, I would be 1000% excited about mentor, like quippy, teaching Terry how to smart mouth the villains instead of being scared of them. You can see old man Static being like, "Hey man, you don't need to worry about these guys. They're robbing people. Why are you worried about hurting their feelings?"
He's like the lighter side of the mentorship.
Exactly.
To
Bruce is like, you don't beat him to death, but make him feel like you're going to beat him to death. And Static's like, and then tell him a joke.
Right. And make fun of their underwear. But no, I think you're right, Jacob, because Static's one of those shows and characters you can go to almost anyone in our sphere or almost any other fandom or community, whatever. And you go, remember Static Shock? And people go, that show ruled. Like, I loved that show. Everybody watched that show. It was on Kids WB. They definitely dropped the ball. I'm with Cider. I think in concept, because we saw that in the Justice League Unlimited episodes where the Justice League goes to the future. He meets the future Justice League. He meets old Static. I would love to see that because I'm right there with Cider, especially with the dual dynamic of mentorship. But I'm so worried that they're going to keep that BLM activist origin for Static, that it'll leak in everywhere. right? Like, because here's what I can see. Neo Gotham, you have problems with corruption and crime and all this stuff because of the ruling class elites. I can see that going from, oh yeah, we lost out our city because of development moguls or whatever, to, oh yeah, see, you guys had it bad, but we had it worse because we were, XYZ identity. And it's just like, I don't need that. I don't need that in my Batman Beyond.
Delete.
So it all depends. What were you saying, Jacob?
Sure.
It's a delete.
Yeah, delete it right away. Yeah, that's what it is. Centric Banana, Static Shock, inspired by George Floyd. That's why he gets his powers now. He goes out to a BLM rally, and that's where all the gas is deployed by the cops. That's what his origin is. I don't know if we've ever really told that to you guys, but like we've written articles about it. It's all out there. But in his origin now, Static is at a BLM rally, Black Lives Matter, defund the police, blah, blah, blah. And the Bang Baby gas, I don't even remember what the official name for it was, but the gas that turns him into Static in the show is not, instead of it being in like a chemical container that accidentally gets blown open, now it's an experimental form of tear gas that they fire into the crowd because the cops don't really care about following protocol. And it's just like, wow, you guys went way overboard with this. And like, it didn't work because Static's not even around right now. He's not in any of the books. He's not on any of the teams. He's not in any of the animated pitches except for this one.
They've kind of Thanos snapped him out of his whole thing. It's sort of weird.
They really kind of did. I think it's one of those instances, kind of like with the X-Men, where DC and Warner Brothers are going, everybody likes this character, but they don't like the version we did of it. So we're not going to acknowledge them for jack crap because we can do it better. That I sort of went into that in the Batman Beyond article, because while I'm excited for a potential film, if you guys have read the comics or paid really any attention to DC over the years, it's almost like a coordinated effort to make sure that Terry never becomes more than a footnote. He was the star of one crossover, Future's End, like 10 years ago, and he's had like an occasional 5-issue miniseries here and there, but they don't promote it. It never gets touched upon in any of their crossover, not flagellation, but pleasuring. So it's just like, you guys are probably salty that all of your plans for your gay Tim Drake being the next Batman or whatever, your gay John being the next Superman, you're all mad that nobody wants that. So
nobody wants a superhero in hot pants.
I can't believe it. Nobody wants this. Well, fine. Then we're not going to give you Static either. And it's just like, all right, like, you guys are such babies.
It reminds me of like them, like, imagine them like running away when oh god, what's that dude's name from remember when in Friday where Debo stole dude's chain? It was like, that's my grandma's chain. He just like runs away like his hands down. That's the way I feel every time that stuff gets projected. That's exactly how they run in my mind.
That was a good show. But yes, I think this is a perfect jumping on point for our big closer, probably the biggest story of the week, even if it's not getting that much traction on our Twitter account. But folks, after months and months of Jacob, what's the right word? Scrying this, bleeding it to the heavens, we have almost near official confirmation that the plan for Warner Brothers is to sell, or David Zaslav's plans for Warner Brothers Discovery is to just sell it. So, for you guys who haven't seen the news today, basically it comes from a new report by Variety's Tatiana Siegel, who, if you guys remember that name, she was the one who did the giant Marvel expose late last year. But according to her, so you guys have probably seen over the past couple months, Warner Brothers is making a lot of big moves. They went crazy trying to they spent a lot of money getting the distribution rights for Oppenheimer. They signed recent deals with both Margot Robbie's production company and Tom Cruise himself to just develop movies. According to Tatiana Siegel in this same article, they've ballooned the budget of Joker 2, whatever you want to call it. That movie is now it's now $200 million, and they're not even done with the movie yet. Like, it's still going. So we've all been seeing these big snap-ups. I know that when John was still here, he pointed to the regular, whatchamacallit, like James Gunn's, I kind of touched upon it, but like James Gunn's announcements of all his DC stuff. He made a whole like 5 years worth of slates, and he's casting all these people, and he's saying, oh look, we have the engineer, we have this and that and this, and it does seem like it is all in service of the company being sold. So according to an insider who spoke to Siegel sometime this week, probably, quote, the strategy at Warner Brothers right now, and the reason they made some of these big star deals, is they're basically playing with other people's money. They're shopping for Quentin or Cruz with the notion that they can use it as a shiny object that is going to be additive when Zaslav sells the company. That mention of Quentin Tarantino, by the way, I totally should have touched upon it before, but they are also interested in distributing his next, possibly last movie, The Movie Critic. So they're on a spending spree to just get that. So that, I mean, that's dumb and worrying all on its own. But obviously the big point here is that we are definitely heading towards that future that Jacob always talks about, where we have 3 companies, if that. Like, so
it might be 2.
Yeah, it might be 2. So right now we don't know who may possibly buy Warner Brothers Discovery, if anybody at all. But we do know that there was a meeting between Zaslav and the CEO of Paramount late last year in December. So that's probably the likely way they're going to go. I know you've talked about it before, right? Like possibly Disney could get in on this, or honestly, just any of those companies.
So
which like we could get amalgam shows. That would be cool, but for the most part, it's bad. Go ahead. Sorry. I just always want to talk amalgam comics.
I mean, when we talk about Warner Brothers in its current state now, it feels like we've been passing the buck of this debt ever since like Ted Turner, right? Because you had the whole Time Warner AOL merger in 2001 when Ted Turner offloaded this whole thing to AOL. Then somehow from AOL, I believe it went to AT&T at one point. Then AT&T, I think they bought it and then flipped it very, very quickly. Now it's in the hands of Discovery because they kind of sold off that asset to Discovery. And now Discovery is taking that asset and flipping it off to somebody else, because this whole thing has been shoving around just billions of dollars in debt for like the last like 35 years and whatnot. And it's like it just goes from one company to another to another to another, and no one can just admit that this thing probably just needs to die, because one, they're broke and they don't know where they're going to get the money from. But it's an absolute mess here. But here's kind of the bigger picture. When very shortly after David Zaslav took over Warner Brothers, there's rumors, I wouldn't say almost immediately, but very quickly after that, he's essentially going to try to flip this whole thing for another sell. Like that was the word that was coming out there. Even going back to 2 years ago when everything was finalized, they were saying that, hey, you know, he might flip this over to Comcast in a couple of years. And Comcast's name, exactly, it really is just a corporate hot potato. That Comcast name got put up because they've been rumored that, you know, hey, maybe they'll buy this property, which would essentially be them swallowing up not only just Warner Brothers, because you also have to remember all the Discovery stuff was also swallowed up in that merger too. So you're talking about HDTV, Discovery Network, Food Network, all of those different brands were all involved in that as well. So you're taking 2 companies for the price of one. That's essentially what you're doing here. And Comcast is still in play there because of, you know, the outreach that they have. Then they're talking about, hey, maybe we can merge with like Paramount. Paramount's probably looking to sell right now too. Like, let's be honest, like Paramount's not doing that much better. They're probably looking to find somebody to offload them as well. Disney, as we know, over the last year and a half or so, has been losing a whole bunch of money. I don't think they're in position to buy anyone else outright, especially with all the money that they've wasted here. So what's happening here is that Hollywood in general is all just one big pro wrestling work. And here's the work. They're all trying to pretend like they have money, and they clearly don't. So their only way of trying to prevent people from finding out that they're actually broke is to sell it to another company that has the money to buy it at that time. So that way they can essentially pass the buck on to them. So I feel like what Warner Brothers is doing right now is that they're waiting for some other bigger company to come around. Maybe an Apple. Maybe it is Comcast.
I always
like
forget
that.
Apple. I always forget Apple's in the running. Oh, Amazon is there too. They could probably
Amazon. Like somebody, they're waiting for somebody big to be like, hey, you want to buy this and merge your studio with our studio? And there's a number of corporations right now that are all losing money and that they're all looking to sell off some kind of asset. Remember the news? I think about 2 weeks ago, ago that Disney, Warner Brothers, and Fox were all going to come together to create
the new
this
sports
giant
thing.
sports app, and they're already getting sued by Fubo TV for that as well. And I'm pretty sure the NFL's not happy about it either. So there's a lot of people that are pushing back against that whole thing. But it's like, look, they know the writing's on the wall. They know that, you know, their content is trash. They know that they can't get the same ad revenue. They can't get the same rights that they were getting before. So they're trying to find some kind of way to make money out of what they have now because they're not making money. And this is what this corporate football has all become here. It's like we need to find some kind of way to make money off of our library, off of whatever we have the rights to right now. And this is why you're seeing that, oh, well, we have Discovery Plus, and then we have HBO Max, and then, hey, maybe we'll combine those two in the one service. And then while we're merging those two in the one service, we're going to create this other side service over here because they're just desperately trying to find a way to raise revenue and to raise money because they don't have any. And this is what it really comes down to. The industry is broke.
Don't.
The industry is in a really bad space. And you're talking about when did this whole start? Here's what I think happened. Hollywood in 2008 made the decision that they were going to essentially forego the American movie-going audience, and say, hey, you know what? This China thing is really blowing up. There's a lot of people over there in China. They got like 1 billion people. They all love movies. So let's focus all of our marketing and all of our craftsmen towards them because they're going to be our new film market. That way, we really don't need the American market anymore. We don't have to have this domestic market be our bread and butter anymore. That worked for a little while. Then the whole Chinese experiment dried up very, very quickly, right? Then they tried to do the Saudi game. And I was like, hey, the Saudi prince, he has billions and trillions of dollars because they own all the oil in the world. So let's go and be with the Saudi princes. Then that journalist got hacked up into pieces and shipped around the entire country. And I was like, oh, yeah, I probably don't want to be in bed with them right now. I don't know that's going to work well with our stockholders. So we have to find somebody else. And now they're realizing it's like they're panicking and they're looking around because they need to figure out what's going to be the next $1 billion deal that they can get away with, so they don't have to actually own up to their shortfalls. And at this point in time, there's not a whole lot of players left who's even in a position to buy, like, you know, Warner Brothers outright. Because what is Warner Brothers going to cost them at this point? 70 billion, 80 billion? Like, who has that kind of money lying around in the entertainment world? And it's not a lot of people. And if they did, they would probably take out a lot of debt just to acquire them, which means that you're putting even more debt on top of the 45-50 billion dollars you already owe. So so at some point someone's gonna have to realize that, hey, we're just broke. Like it's gonna be like a Fannie Mae Freddie Mac situation, not in too long in the future. I mean, yeah, no, when that happens, all bets are off.
Yeah, I mean, like hates me in HD here says corporate hot potato. I mean, essentially that's what they're doing right now. I like what you said there, Jacob, about they're just looking for the next big deal they can get away with, because I think that is sort of the core of why we're seeing, at least in the last like 5 years or so, all these things getting passed around, because you have somebody come in like Zaslav, you have whatever, right? Somebody goes, oh, we'll buy up this studio, we'll buy up this property. And guess what? Their stock goes because everybody goes, this is going to be great. So then everybody can sell or whatever at that point. And then their stock starts to decline. And then they go, oh, crap, we need more, another boost to that. What do? Sign Margot Robbie. Okay, she's going to be great. And then And that's all sort of what it is right now. Nobody really wants to do anything with these.
You actually brought up a great point, too. This is another big problem here. Because all of these studios are owned by corporations, whether it be Warner Brothers or Disney or Amazon, whatever the case may be, they're all publicly traded companies. And we know with publicly traded companies, they have to try to get as much money as they possibly can. And part of that is convincing you, literally the stockholder, that they're actually doing a much better job than they actually are. So when things are going bad, what was the excuse that was being made? Oh, well, you know, the pandemic hurt us, but don't worry, because we got all these other things coming up. And they just repeated that excuse over and over and over again. And they do that essentially to work the shareholders into thinking that somehow we're going to be able to turn this around. And after a while, you don't even realize it's been 3 years. It's like, no, you guys haven't turned this around. It's only gotten worse. What are you guys going to do? It's like, oh, we'll sell. And then that's going to shoot up the stock price, because everybody think, oh, they're going to sell soon. They're going to get some money out of this, right? So we'll get some money on the deal. But if that doesn't happen, then and then people are going to start losing their jobs. Yep.
Well, like I think that ties in really well to what Eccentric asks here. Eccentric Banana asks, Zaslav can't save it. I think I don't think he's trying to save it. I don't think any of these companies really are trying to save their investments anymore. For what reason, I don't know. Obviously, to sell them around or to boost their stock prices. There's probably 9 levels of chess going on here that we just don't know. But I don't think they care about saving it. They care about coming in, getting their deals done, making that stock line go up, and bouncing out of there. Otherwise, they would put more effort and care into what they're actually putting out. They would make these deals something of substance. Like when they announced the Tom Cruise deal, I was so confused, and it felt like such a marketing stunt because there were no details. It was just, okay, we're going to work with Tom Cruise now. Not exclusive, not on anything in particular, just we're working with Tom Cruise. All right, that's it. Like, great, but what are you going to do with it?
We talked about with the James Gunn thing. He's announcing all of these movies,
right?
And it's like the only one that's actually in development right now is a Superman movie, so you have to have at least one out there. But what they're doing is that they're making it seem like, oh, we're building this whole big bright DC superhero universe just so they can get some potential sucker to be like, hey, if you want to buy this for like $90 billion, hey, we got all these projects lined up here. Look at all these toys that you're going to be able to play with once you get these buys, right? And that's what they're trying to do. It's like then the second that the ink dries, like, here you go, no take backs, and then run out the door.
Just like with Dakota Johnson, like, oh, you thought that? Never mind.
So I think
What's up,
I
Cider?
want to say that Chuck Dixon talked about this in his interview with John Trent last year. He explained what happened with Hollywood. That the first generation of Hollywood was theater. They were theater performers that were moving their way into silent film, and then film had sound to it. The second generation of Hollywood was obsessed with film.
Craftsmen.
They were obsessed with the craft of filmmaking. These are the studio heads. These are the people that wrote the checks, that decided what was made, what wasn't. These are the guys that would trade scripts, like the Back to the Future script. If you don't know, that traveled all over Hollywood and back, and a lot of deals were cut to get it back at or wherever it ended up, Universal, right? Yeah, anyway.
I think Universal, yeah.
Whatever. And and that's what happened. But that's what it is. And then now the fourth generation is in, and the fourth generation is obsessed with money. And that's what Chuck said, is that it stopped being about the movies and it started being about how much money they made, because they started making bets between each other about the profit margins. And he says, if you know anything about Hollywood, it's the dick measuring contest that you had. Now, Chuck didn't say that out loud, but that's paraphrasing.
Yeah, that's what he meant.
It's the dick measuring contest between the studio heads. And that's where we're at today. These people are obsessed with their what they're making, what they're able to. They're not obsessed with their making. They're obsessed with the money they're making. While complying with BlackRock's DEI requirements. So again, they've complicated the game. Because again, this is not about film anymore. It's about raking down as much profits. You can call some other guy with 16 Lamborghinis and tell him you've got your 17.
Yep. No, and like I think you're complete. Or go ahead, Jacob.
No, I was just gonna say, that's the problem when, like I said, the reason why studios don't actually operate like studios anymore is because they're essentially a piece of a portfolio for a mega corporation now. That's all it is. This is what Warner Brothers Studios is. This is what Disney is. This is what Paramount is. This is what Comcast is. They're just small little subsets of an overall portfolio for a major corporation.
No, you're 100% right. And I think both of what you guys have said applies to this question, joke, comment from Hey It's Me in HD, where he goes, wait, putting Gunn in charge isn't a moneymaker? And it's like, yeah, we know that. We as fans know that. We all know that, Gunn's sort of over the top right now. But to what Cider and Jacob are saying, James Gunn, to them, to Hollywood executives or whatever, that he is still the superhero golden goose. They cannot get over Guardians of the Galaxy. Because it not only blew up that property, it not only blew up the MCU, but it made, like, Chris Pratt became a star, Batista became a household actor name, things like that, right? So they look at him and they go, look at what Gunn can do. So in this theory, or in this process of baiting everybody to come in, what do you do if you're trying to appeal to executives? You go, get Gunn, say Gunn is leading all of these random properties. So not only is he leading big ones like Green Lantern and Superman, but also Creature Commandos. And he can do the same thing for you that he did for Guardians of the Galaxy. And so everybody is salivating at that. But I mean, I don't know what it's really based off of, because he had those movies. He had The Suicide Squad, which even if it wasn't COVID times, it would have probably bombed, because that movie was just and that's all he's had in recent years. I don't know where all this confidence is coming from. And Guardians 2 kind of sucks. I'll say it.
I mean, no,
It's
it
a little
definitely
flat.
sucks. It's not great.
But I've been seeing like
Razorface.
I Taserface, as soon as Taserface came up, I was like, okay, we got the Funko Pop people. But I've just been seeing a lot of like revisionism around that movie lately, especially with people talking about the MCU. They're like, yeah, Gunn did great. Like he did, Guardians 1's great, Guardians 2's solid. And I'm like, I don't remember that. And I think you're lying.
I don't know what movie you guys were watching.
Yeah, right? Like I couldn't even tell you what happens.
And to be
in that
honest with
movie.
you, if you really want to be honest with you, people were acting like Guardians 3 was way better than it actually was. It was like, I think after like watching Thor 4 and Black Panther and whatever the hell Doctor Strange 2 was, it's like, yeah, it was better by comparison, but people were actually legitimately acting like, it's like, oh yeah, when that CGI character died, it's like, I really cried in the movie theater. It's like, grow up. What are we doing?
There's that scene. So I give a lot of credit to Guardians, probably more than it deserves, like Guardians 3. But I am also like, I admit that that's not based on anything to do with the movie itself. I'm just really happy they got their official like comic suits on. So I'll watch that for an hour and a half, because yeah, the movie's fine. Like it's got its moments. But I remember when it came out and everybody was going, give this movie like a cinematography award at the Academy Awards or whatever for the one-shot battle scene, or like the one-take battle scene they have at the like near the end when the Guardians storm the High Evolutionaries like base, and then Beastie Boys is playing, like that whole scene. It's presented as one shot, but 900% of it is CGI with Chris Pratt's kind of like Cider was explaining earlier, like Chris Pratt's image thrown onto like a model there to slide across the ground. It's just it's not that great. It's fine. People need to go watch more than Marvel movies. Let's put it that way. Leslie says, "Hey, I cried when Yondu died." Hey, Yondu wasn't CGI. Yondu was an actual person with a very, very good performance. It's also sort of hard to like get behind death in a Guardians movie when the first movie ended with like Groot's death, but he wasn't dead. So it's like, okay, that stake really isn't here anymore. And it's Marvel, so those stakes just really, really, really don't exist anymore. Yeah, Centric's here. Guardians 3 was decent, I guess. Yeah, loved Guardians 3, but it was mid. What were you saying, Jacob? I was just looking at them.
No, I was just gonna point this out too. So like the whole thing of like Warner Brothers, before we move on here, is that I was actually a fan of like Discovery when it was like a completely separate property from Warner Brothers, back when I believe Scripps was the company that was originally like a part of, and they put all of it together. It's like, oh yeah, great, I got this whole like little island of entertainment that HGTV, Discovery Channel, Food Network, Travel Channel, all this stuff is completely separated from like the major like core Hollywood like networks, right? So it's kind of an island all by itself.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're merging it with Warner Brothers. I was like, crap. It's like now we're in the same like family as like CNN and like Charles Barkley, and it's like, oh boy, here in AEW, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, now we're talking about it in a couple of years. Hey, who knows? Comcast might buy it, Disney might buy it, Apple might buy it. It's like, okay, well now it's just completely tainted. Now it's like I had my own little island, and then now all you people just came and just like started crapping all over the sand.
Forcing us. Yeah, you're like forcing us to interact with all of your crap, and it's like I don't really want that. I just want to go watch MythBusters or whatever.
Yeah,
or I want to watch.
I just want to watch Street Outlaws and Deadliest Catch. That's all I wanted to do.
Like I don't need your CNN, and that like I think that's what really gets to me too. And like it's going to happen, and it's going to be way more awful than the way I'm presenting it gives it the gravity of. But once we reach that future of like 2 or 3 companies owning everything, the propaganda is going to get even worse. They're going to be even more unified. There's going to be even less avenues for pushback, and you're going to keep getting the put your kids on blockers. Biden is a perfectly capable human being. Like it's going to get 700 times
because
worse
there's only going to
once
be
that happens.
there's only going to be two corporations controlling everything. And like I said before, because I've heard some people push back and say, oh, don't, the government will never allow Warner Brothers to be bought by Comcast. It's like, guys, if you're still having faith that the government is going to somehow stop this from happening, it's like, I don't know what show you've been paying attention to the last few years.
Those people act like, you know, the Pelosi's and the Schumers and everyone don't have active investments in those companies and wouldn't do everything they could to skirt it through so that they could get a boost. I still remember Nancy Pelosi made like $40 million off of Roblox because she heard that a big sale was coming up and she bought up a bunch of crap and it got sold. And oh, hey, how convenient, right? Like it's so bad.
You can't handle the truth.
I can't handle the truth. I don't like it. That's why I'm here with you guys on streams to go, please, like, make me, like, tell me I'm not crazy. This is, what are we even doing here anymore? Right? Like,
No.
And, well,
we do have a laser to fire.
I believe we do. And that's what I was about to say. In service of helping our cinematic futures, you know, making Hollywood make something decent again, we are locked, loaded for the laser, and we are going to
blow it all to hell.
We're going to save our screen times, Disney stock, and Mahershala Ali's career. Cider, fire when ready.
It's not going to happen.
Now, folks, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Now, folks, I want you to record that because that might be the first and only time in 01 history that we destroy something that doesn't even exist and will not ever exist. But yes,
it was easier destroyed in Taylor Swift, so there's a positive.
She's still there. She won. She won the Super Bowl. I'm very proud of her. But let's see. Before we close out, I wanted to answer this one last question. Eccentric Banana asks, "How long until most of these streaming services die?" Well, you're seeing it happen.
They're already kind of dying, if we're being completely honest with you.
That's exactly it.
Here's the problem. They only created these streaming services as a new revenue stream. The problem is it costs so much to upkeep all these streaming services. Even the revenue that is pulling in, they're still not profitable. Like Disney Plus is still not profitable after all this time. And it's like, how many millions of subs do they have now? It's like, if it gets to a certain point, it's like, you're going to plateau with like how many people you can actually get. If you're still not profitable at that point, then you're just creating just more debt is what you're doing. So yeah, none of these streaming services are profitable. So unless, as we're seeing here, they're going to try to find some kind of way to merge it with other streaming services and basically just become cable again, or just become new cable.
It's going to become cable. We see like a new report every other day where it's like, oh, this, you know, Amazon and Hulu and Disney might team up to offer a streaming bundle. And it's like, why did we make the jump anyway? And I mean, like, a lot of this has to do with the fact that how do you monetize this? You really don't past your subscription, like your subscriber pay, right? Or your membership fees. I mean, some services, I know Netflix is doing it, Amazon's doing it, now have like ad tiers where they will show you ads in the middle of whatever show, even though you have an account. But for the most part, that doesn't happen. So you have all these companies going, this is the next big revenue stream. We're going to knock it out of the park here. And then once they get, like you said, Jacob, once they plateau from the membership dollars, then they go, oh crap. We spent all this money getting that initial membership in. You know, we hired Ryan Gosling and The Rock and Gal Gadot for a movie. We spent $250 million per episode of She-Hulk, like things like that. They go, oh crap. We didn't really have we just thought that the money would sort of come, and it's just, it's not. Yeah, go ahead.
It just goes to show you just how dire this whole situation is. Disney Plus, as of right now, has over 150 million subscribers worldwide. Now, you think that that's a great number, because if you look at just from a revenue perspective, that's almost $25 billion a year just from Disney Plus, right? They're still not profitable, grossing $25 billion a year. So if Disney Plus can't be profitable with that kind of margin, nobody else has a shot.
Right. I mean, Leslie brings it up here. First of all, I know I've given a couple of shout outs, but Leslie's back. Hey, Leslie. But Leslie brings up D Plus is bankrupt. Netflix is the only profitable one. And it's true. And that's because they sort of started from such a low point. They already had all that stuff ready to go. So it was just cash boon to go, oh, do you want to stream it? All right, cool. They didn't have
keep
to
this
go
in
out and
mind.
produce all that stuff. Yeah.
It took Netflix a while before it actually got to a point where it was profitable. And even by making like $4.5 billion a year in profit, they still have a whole bunch of debt that needs to be offset. Because look at all the debt that they've racked up over the course of the last 20 years just to get to that point. So even Netflix, the only successful one out of the entire sphere, is still working on clearing their debt for how many years of content that they've raked up as well.
And to like just really sell the desperation, notice how none of these streaming services really even know what this next step, like this next monetization move really looks like, right?
Yeah.
You know, some of them are going, we're going to throw in ads. Some of them say no more password sharing. Some of them say we're going to offer you better resolution if you buy our thing. And none of them are like, it's just throwing things at the wall right now. They have no idea what they're doing. And then as Veritas and Leslie brought up, like, especially in a rising age of piracy, it's even harder for them to really make like to keep going. I don't think piracy is really denting them that hard, but you know, if I can go get your $400 million production off of your service, I might still really enjoy it, but I've just circumvented every level of giving you my money. And like this sort of, just to tie it all back to what we were saying, with these shows, especially with like the Disney Plus shows, I guarantee that the executives were banking on, you know, merchandising. Everybody is going to want an Ahsoka toy. Everybody's going to want the She-Hulk hot toy. Everybody's going to want a Falcon and a Winter Soldier figure arts toy. The problem is those products, like these shows themselves, suck so bad that it doesn't translate. They are flailing in Hollywood, and honestly, I'm just here to watch it all. Like they made, so I collect figure arts toys, right? The SH figure arts lines, like these guys, like these from Bandai, and they made figures for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, both Bucky and Sam. Those figures are still to this day on every storefront, where like normally these figures sell out like that. Bucky and Falcon still on the shelves at reduced rates every time there's a sale. They're like, hey, do you want this? And I'm like, no, nobody wants this crap. Nobody ever wanted this.
I wonder how many Rose Tico toys they still have on the shelves right now.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure Ethan just bought the entire stock way back in the day. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a genuine collector's item now. Wait, I thought Tubi was free, wasn't it?
Well, this was just what I was about to say. Like, all these streaming services that people are talking about, Max and all these ones that are just trying to gouge you out of your money. Here's the cheat code. Get Tubi, Pluto TV, and Discovery Plus. All three of these streaming services for $9 a month, and hint, 2 of them are free, and you're gonna get all the entertainment that you could possibly get for $9 a month. You're not gonna need Disney Plus. You're not gonna need Max. You're not gonna need Paramount Plus. By the way, here's the little thing about Paramount Plus, just real quick on a side note. Paramount Plus exists, and the thing about Paramount Plus is that a lot of their stuff from like MTV, VH1, and like BET, they actually don't own the rights to a lot of that stuff, because a lot of the music that was used during that time period, they don't have deals to use that music, so they would have to pay out every single artist from every single like music performance and clip that they've used over the course of the last 40 years, and because they don't want to pay them more money, because they'd be severely in the red, all of that stuff is off Paramount Plus entirely. So there's no TRL, there's no Say What karaoke. You can't even play half the episodes like Beavis and Butthead, because they use like old Metallica,
the music videos.
Yeah, so pretty much all of their best stuff they can't even show on their own streaming service. Like, why does this even exist then?
It exists because they thought that they could get the Netflix like crowd to jump right on. And yeah, like, honestly, guys, like the best way to sort of stamp this all out is streaming services are dying. Hollywood has no idea what they're doing. Go buy physical media whenever you possibly can, or find your own hard copies to have on your own. And just, yeah, like I said, like I'm going to buckle up. I'm going to follow all of this as it goes. And hopefully we can avoid the single Hollywood mega corporation future. Like, that's all I'm really going to say. Anybody got anything else to add?
Yeah, that's it for me.
No,
All
my
right, then I
soul's
think-
been thoroughly pulled out of my body.
Well, I think with that, we can wrap it up for tonight. As always, we will get out of here starting by letting everybody know what they've got going on, and we will kick it off with Jacob first. Jacob, what do you got going on? That was the worst way I could, that was the worst sentence I ever had. To,
that was the worst roundabout to like the whole thing.
Yeah, it was
possibly
really
get
bad.
to. Obviously, I still have some articles that should be up in Bounding in the Comics later on this week, so go check out the site for some more of my stuff there. This Friday night, we're going to be doing the Friday Night Movie Club. We're watching the 2001 film Ghost World. So that's the film with Steve Buscemi, Thora Birch, Scarlett Johansson. Very, very interesting and entertaining movie. We're going to watch that one on Friday night. Monday night, the person who I guess is over this side, who was next to me before, is going to be back for part 2 of our discussion on the Bible Lens podcast. If you did not catch us on Monday night, go check out Society Reviews on YouTube and Rumble and listen to the full discussion that we had here. It was a very, very eye-opening and enlightening discussion that we had, so go check that out. We'll do part 2 next Monday night, and then Barroom Podcast is on Tuesday nights. Last night we had The Writing Raven, Masters of TDS, and Words of Paradise, all of our show last night. And then next Tuesday we'll be back for episode 88. And I'm trying to get Martina Markova to actually show up to like one of our damn shows, even though can't get her to commit to anything. But we're still working on it.
She was on the first show. She was on the very first show.
Yeah, exactly right. And never appeared ever again.
I remember being so disappointed because I'm like, oh, hey, Martina's around again. I didn't know you were free. And then she was just gone.
Yeah.
Cider, what have you got going on? Let the people know.
I make videos for Bounding and I run the streams. Check me out there.
And he does a damn fine job of it. Of course, you can also find him across the internet. You know, he's on the Dank stream. He's on the on his own channel doing stuff sometimes.
He has a Monday night show that he hosts exclusively. Is
I was getting to that.
Oh, right, the Monday Rewind. I'm so sorry.
His soul's already gone, Jacob. He already made that clear. Yeah. So, guys, as Jacob was saying, first of all, I want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight. I know we had a packed house. We had Leslie, Eccentric Banana, Night Shroud. I know you joined us a little late, but I still saw all your comments. We had Veritas. We had oh my gosh, what's his name? Jose from earlier. We had Heretic Prince. We had DZ3. We had Hey, It's Me and HD. We had almost all the regular crew here. I know I'm forgetting some people, but I want to thank from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank everybody for showing up and hanging out with us tonight. If you want more of the people on the crew here, obviously Monday nights, Cider and Jacob host Monday Rewind, where they break down the biggest stories from the weekend, because as you guys know, sometimes things happen, but most of us, including I know you guys, are off of your computers having a life. So they break down everything you might have missed over any given weekend. As always, you can come back same bat time, same bat channel right here next week at 9 p.m. Eastern time for another episode of the 01 stream, where I'll be joined, as always, with Jacob and Cider, maybe Josh, depending on where that weird Brit is. If you want to see more of me personally, you can go find me on Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I host a live stream, The Good, the Mad, the Ugly, where I go, I take some deep dives into topics that might not get discussed around the sphere, video games, tokusatsu, anime, manga, stuff like that. If that sounds up your alley, come on by. Yeah, like I said, my channel, 8 p.m. every Friday. It would be lovely to have you. As always, check out the site every day. We've got stuff going on. I've got articles going up. Jacob's got videos going up. Cider's got videos going up. Nerdigans has articles going up. Everybody's working hard. Everybody's moving. So yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us. It means the world to us. We will see you again next week. And yeah, until then, take it easy.
Later.